Day by day our lives are turning, like a potter's wheel they spin. You are choosing your own maker. Choose your potter's wheel, my friend.
Our study last week has left us wondering about these words. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. That's in Matthew 24:30. This sounds like a description of the second coming. And yet we've already seen how Jesus tied the fulfillment to the lifetimes of the disciples to whom he was speaking. If you're breaking in the middle of this study, I'll put a link to the first video in this study of Matthew 24 right up here. Let's look again at this wonderful prophecy. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken, and then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send forth his angels with a great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. Now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. Even so you too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. This is verses 29 through 34 of Matthew 24. Verses 33 through 34 are very important here. These two verses, with the context established at the beginning of the chapter, keep us from going crazy with wild speculations about what Jesus is prophesying. Obviously, they would be able to see the signs beginning in verse 5 and know that this event was coming. It was essential that they see and act, because when Matthew 24, 29 through 31 would occur, it would be too late to do anything about it. The sign of the Son of Man would come after the tribulation of those days. They would need to have already heeded the signs of Matthew 24, 5 through 15 before this event. The sign of the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory, verse 30, is not the second coming. If so, Jesus would have come back within the generation to whom these words were spoken. Remember verse 34? This will be especially easy if you connect the end of Matthew 23 with our current text. Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I wanted to gather your children together the way a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you were unwilling. Behold, your house is being left to you desolate. For I say to you, from now on you shall not see me until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Those are the last verses of Matthew 23. Jesus would be seen when doom came upon Jerusalem. If Jesus would be seen in the destruction of Jerusalem, then the sign of the Son of Man in Matthew 24:30 is not the final judgment, nor is it a future judgment on an antichrist. It was the power and glory of Jesus exercised on the Jewish nation of that generation for rejecting the apostles and prophets he sent to them. This was fulfilled in the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans in AD 70. But why describe it all in this way? The destruction of Jerusalem wasn't a case of the Romans simply destroying another foreign city. They had destroyed countless cities before Jerusalem. Jesus was saying, when it comes, it will have been my divine justice in judgment. Jesus on a cloud was no more literal than the corpse or the vultures in Matthew 24:28. That verse is a parable, like the parable of the sower. There the seed was not actually seed, it was the word of God. Here the corpse wasn't an actual dead body, it was Jerusalem. The vultures weren't literal birds, they were the Romans. Jerusalem, the corpse, was dead. And Rome, the vultures, would come to feast upon its prey. The images are powerful, and we must be very careful as we interpret them. Well, now we need to get to verses 40 through 41. I told you about a month ago that these verses are not describing the rapture. Now we can see what they are really about. I hope you'll join me next week as we talk about some being taken and others being left behind.